Parks Committee will now come to order. Present, Joseph Moore, Dave Nettig, our fine staff, and myself, Jerry Wisbiski. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting of December 9th, 2015, and Brian Danziger just walked in. He said he wouldn't show up.
I'll second Brian.
Jerry did. All right. Adoption of the agenda, discussion and action on hiring a pool engineering consultant for Colburn Pool staff.
Okay. As of December 9th, 2015, this committee directed us to send out an RFP to hire a pool consultant for Colburn Pool to produce engineering documents. On December 18th, staff sent out those RFPs. We actually sent them to 3 qualified consultant firms. The proposals were due on January 8th. The city received 2 proposals, one from Raymaker and Associates, and the other from Grafe. Raymaker proposes to complete the design in-house with minimum subcontractors. Grafe is an engineering firm and is proposing to team up with Water Technologies for the pool design and ADCI for the architectural part of the pool. Raymaker's quote price for the pool for phase 1 came in at $228,300, and for phase 2, $75,000. For Grafe's quote came in for phase 1 engineering was $275,095 and $95 for phase 2. Both quotes came in under our estimated consultant fee. We had said somewhere between $400,000 to $440,000, so they both came in lower. We have worked with both companies in the past. The only project that we have worked with Raymaker on, obviously, was the conceptual plan for Colburn Pool. We have worked with both Grafe and Water Technologies on several projects throughout the city. Water Technologies was the company who built Joanne's Pool, designed and built Joanne's Pool. The previous Colburn Pool study was done by them, and the Red Smith splash pad was also done by this group. Grafe recently completed a study for the East River Trail for us. Staff reviewed the 2 proposals and we scored them. We didn't just score them on price. Price was one of the 4 qualification areas that we did. The other one was qualifications of staff, firm experience, and completeness of the proposal. 4 individuals scored these proposals. When considering all listed criteria, Grafe scored higher, mainly due to selected project team, resources, and similar projects listed on their proposals. As you know, at this point, we don't need to hire for phase 1 and 2. I would suggest that we only hire for phase 1, and then we'll hire for phase 2 consulting when we get to construction of the pool, because that's the supervision of the pool. So at this point, we would only need to contract for phase 1 engineering, which would be the $275,000. Phase 2 construction, again, would be the administration. We would contract it out as the pool construction is being funded. There's currently no city funding available. As you know, we haven't bonded for this pool yet. We haven't taken it for bonding. At the December 9th meeting, Alderman Weary indicated that we could use fundraising dollars to hire the engineer consultant. At the last park committee meeting, we also reminded you that we have not bonded for this pool yet. Typically, we bond and hire the engineer at the same time, and so this is a little odd. Bonding for the pool construction would not occur to March or April. So again, if bonding is not approved at that time, fundraising dollars spent to hire the consultant now could be lost. At the December 15th council meeting, the council approved to proceed with the council-approved Olympic pool design that the Friends of Colburn Pool have fundraised towards, and to commit to at least $3.5 million as promised by the city council. We will not know the cost of the pool until March at the earliest. I did include a timeline for you in some of the handouts that I handed out right there.
Okay.
If you want to just take a look at that quick, and if you have any questions about that, you can ask Dan or I.
Chris, did you go on? Did you get one, Mark?
No, I didn't.
I don't think I have any extra
Oh.
copies, but I can make you one, Mark, if you need one. So this is where this project sits. What we would be looking for is to have permission to hire Grave and authorize us to use the fundraising dollars to do so for the engineering consultant. Yes.
Thank you. Joe?
For the $46,700 difference on phase one, are we really getting that much more bang for the buck between the two? Can you just repeat what the difference was that scored corrects higher?
Sure. Like Donnie mentioned, we ranked it on their team, the selected team, and their projects that they've done in the past, along with references, completeness of proposals, and then cost was part of the equation too. I'll give you a summary of Grafe versus Raymaker. So Grafe, with their sub-consultants, as Donnie mentioned, there's an architectural firm and a pool designer. They have 17 staff members on their project team, whereas Raymaker has 8 staff on their project team.
Okay.
Now with Raymaker, they don't have a licensed architect on staff. They have somebody who has some training in it, but he's not a licensed architect. And same with their mechanical engineer. Their mechanical engineer is not a licensed either. As far as projects that the two companies have worked on, Grafe and WaterTech, I have worked on a lot of community or municipal pools in Wisconsin, including the new one in Appleton at Herb Park, Hoyt Park in Wauwatosa, Schultz Aquatic Center in Milwaukee, and they list probably about 7 or 8 other ones which are municipal aquatic centers in Wisconsin. Whereas when you compare that to what Raymaker gave as projects, their projects were very minimal on municipal work. City of Monroe was a new wading pool. City of Wisconsin Dells was also a new wading pool. And then they'd had some pool rehabs and a lot of indoor pools for YMCA's and school districts and stuff. But there just wasn't a lot on municipal exterior pools. So
I think that with 17 staff members, then Graves doesn't seem to have any issue with meeting this timeline. And they were given the timeline that we'd like to stay on, and they can meet that qualification?
correct.
Okay, I think this is the next most important thing, so, okay.
Okay.
Who was the engineer for Rush?
For the Resch Aquatic Center, we went with Aquatica. They are no longer in business.
Well, no, I think Mr. Moore already asked that. I was curious about, I know you mentioned Grafe was going to be using more subcontractors than Raymaker. Is that included in the 17 total staff that will be working on the project?
Correct.
All right.
That's a
So
combination.
that's how they can bolster their staff numbers on that. And obviously then too, with this, we would have to contract for both phases from the same entity. Obviously wouldn't be able to split that up since they're the ones developing those plans.
Correct.
All right.
I echo the same concern that Joe brought up. Basically, I think that time is really of the essence because we're on a really tight schedule with this thing. So that's the way it works out. I guess so be it. At this point in time, entertain the open floor. You don't have to open the floor for Chris if he wants to speak.
Nope, I just wanted to thank staff and the committee again. You know, I really didn't have any input in this at all or anything till really just the last couple of days, so I kind of defer to staff and you guys on this.
Well, that being said, then I would just make a motion to award the phase one to Graves and to move forward.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Yes. staff.
With these
And to
contingencies that are about
approve
to be
to
made.
authorize fundraising dollars to pay for it.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Have a second then?
Along with us to finish.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're on our way again.
All right.
Still moving ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Discussion and action on adjusting the parkland development fees. Staff.
Okay, as you know, developers are required to pay parkland fees whenever they subdivide a property for residential development. They can also donate land in lieu of that fee. Prior to 2008, the fees were calculated using a formula with the fee ranging based on the density of the development. In the fall of 2008, the parkland fee ordinance was revised and simplified. At that time, the park committee set a flat fee of $275 per dwelling unit, which was slightly higher in the area during that time and comparable to surrounding communities. This fee has not changed since this modification in 2008. The ordinance, and I did give you a copy of that in your packet if you want to refer to that, the ordinance requires that the city evaluates this fee every 2 years. Fees are used to cover improvements such as development of park areas, grading, landscaping, playground equipment, installation of shelters and bathrooms and restroom facilities, etc. Staff has reviewed what the current parkland fees are. If you refer to the sheet that I handed out, you can see that Ashwaubenon currently is $971 per single family, $622 per multifamily. Bellevue is $698 per dwelling. De Pere is $300 per single family or each duplex unit, $130 per bedroom for a multifamily unit. Howard is $1,225 per single family, $871 per multifamily. And we threw Appleton in there as a comparison. They're $300 per single family and $200 per duplex, $150 per apartment. The average cost, if you average these 5 communities out, it comes out to about $698 for single family and about $500 for each multifamily unit. As you can see, Green Bay has kind of fallen far behind here on this parkland fee assessment compared to all of the other communities. Construction materials, as you know, have gone up. Last year alone, we experienced 10 to 15% increases in most of our projects that we had occurred in the park department. We are recommending that the parkland fee increase to cover these additional costs. We would like to be competitive with the other adjacent communities, but it would, it would be too big of a jump to go from 275 to 698, so we're not going to propose that. What we are proposing is $350 per development unit, and that would apply to both single and multifamily units. And then we would look to bring this back in a couple years and then increase it as well, gradually increase it for the low. So that would be our recommendation.
Thank you. Discussion.
It's still sizably lower than most of the others out there, and it's barely getting to the halfway mark of what the average is.
Right, right.
So for us, it's the same, whether it's multifamily?
Correct.
Or single,
Yes.
single unit.
Well, that's, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, there seems to be some logic in that. Just sort of curiosity, I know we have to put it in a non-lapsing account. How much do we have in that account?
We have currently about $55,000.
Okay.
We haven't developed some parks on the far east, and those are dollars from those parks that are there.
So in the average year, there isn't a whole
Oh,
lot
no,
that's
no,
collected.
no, no.
It accumulates over time.
No, it just depends on where the development occurs.
Okay. And in terms of when it gets used, does that come to this committee in
Correct.
terms of what projects we would use it for and so on?
Correct, as we develop the park in that area, obviously we bring that to the park committee and you decide which elements would go in that park, as well as the neighborhood that we're serving.
Okay.
Brian, do you have something else?
Thanks. Actually, yeah, I just was curious, when was the last time this was assessed here and when this value was created? Because,
2008.
oh my, well, I guess this is something that probably should be explored at least every,
It was assessed in
It's in
2010 also.
Okay.
We brought it before the
Hmm.
committee.
wow, and we still lag that far behind.
We left it the same in 2010 because the economy was bad and there
Okay.
wasn't a lot of
A lot
development.
of construction development, all right.
But it hasn't been reviewed since.
All right, well, again, I understand we don't want to make a huge jump from the 275. I mean, again, the 350 is still barely half of what the average, I mean, it's right at half of what the average is.
If you-
No, I was just going to say I'd recommend that this is something that gets reviewed, though, at least on a biannual basis, just to make sure
Yep.
that we're not lagging, or at least give us an opportunity then to either see if we need to modify and increase it again, so we're getting closer to what that community average is. Not that we want to see an increase in fees, but obviously it's a fuel mechanism for the rest of the parkland, so that's all I have.
I would agree with
Sorry.
that too. I think that we would just kind of eke it up maybe a little bit every year because
Yeah, I
we
mean,
got
it's-
one heck of a gap there.
That's what I'm saying. I'm sorry, Ms. Kramer. I didn't mean to-
No, that's okay. What I was going to just say is that we have to review it every 2 years per ordinance.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
we do have to review it every 2 years.
All right. Well,
And you're also welcome to raise it if you feel that's too low.
no, I think it's understandable because this is still a 30% increase from what we had before. It's just it's amazing how far we've been below the average
Yeah.
in that. That's all. I guess that's a good sign, though, too. I'm sorry.
Joe,
go
do you
ahead.
have something?
I was gonna say that, when I contacted recently the Home Builders Association about our overall permitting fees for home builders coming in for developers. And we're actually, across the board, development fees in Green Bay are far lower than around us. It's, right between 25 and 30% increase gets us to $350, and another 25% will get us to $450, which still leaves us $250 below Bellevue, which I think is probably, if you look at Howard at over $1,200, that's kind of a really skewed number there. But there's not a whole lot to develop in De Pere. I don't think you can really look at De Pere anymore as as far as buildable lots that are remaining. You almost have to look at some of the more competitive areas around us, like Hobart, Lawrence, Ledgeview, and those are communities that I think the city of Green Bay is actually really competing with when it comes to new development. So I'm good right now with bringing this up to the $350, but I'd like to look at those other communities. Like I said, Hobart, Ledgeview, the town of Lawrence are three big ones that I think that we should really take a look at and see where their fees are at. That's where Green Bay is competing with the most.
Would you like to have this done for a city council meeting?
No, I don't think it needs to be, because I think we can take a look at this again down the road.
As we go.
If it's a year or 6 months or whatever it might be, but.
Okay. Mark?
Well, I would agree with what Joe said as well. We're competing with other communities around the area, and Donnie, you mentioned something about that by ordinance?
Yeah.
That we have this?
From now on, every 2 years.
Every
per
2 years.
ordinance.
I apologize, it was in the sheet, I
It's
just
a
missed
copy of the
it.
city ordinance now.
Yeah,
Every
and
2
what
years,
Dan-
we'll have to review it.
Okay, and what Dan, you were saying, because the economy was such
Yeah.
that we decided that we didn't do that, isn't that something that is by ordinance when a council will weigh in on something like that, or is that just, I don't know. I guess I just don't fully understand why we didn't look at that besides just the fact that we said, the economy was bad at that time. So I don't know.
I think there's so many of these things that are probably out there that
It's just
they're hard to stay on top of them, for one thing.
Well, and you don't want to get to the point where building fees are at a cost or at a price where, you're going to drive business away too. But if competitively, you're
Right.
looking at all the surrounding communities with these fees, if we're not close to that, I think we really need to look at that strongly.
Yeah, no, I know when you look at the ordinance, it gives the developer the option of dedicating land
Mhm.
versus paying fees. I presume most of them have been paying fees, is that?
We had some land that was
They
dedicated.
have had some-
Most pay the fee, but there are a few that dedicate.
Mhm.
I was gonna say too, the period of time that he actually referred to was really a down period of time, except for District Number 1, we were just kept on going. So, all right. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion that we go ahead and approve the increase to $350, as stated by staff.
Okay,
As
do I have a
suggested by
second?
staff.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? That passes. Discussion and action on updates to the Bullfrog lease. Staff.
Okay, we handed out a copy of the Bullfrog lease. If you want to follow through with me on this, you can. There isn't a whole lot of big changes that happened. It's just kind of some minor changes that we did. If you refer to page 1, paragraph 1, all we did is change the date on that one. If you go to page 2, item 2, again, we updated the lease to reflect the current year, and we added verbiage to indicate that the lease should have the right to extend the lease as desired. So it's a 1-year lease, and they have the option for 3 years to extend the lease. It's highlighted there in the red for you, if you want to look at that. Page 5 of the lease, we updated the fees. And what you see there are, every year we update the fees about $250. We had to update the rental fees to reflect the increases in utilities. We had a lot of utilities that went out there with the extra concession stands, and our utility bills reflected that this year. So we met with Bullfrogs, and they were very understanding of that utility cost. And so we added those dollars to take care of those utility bills plus the $250. And that's what you see in those numbers indicated on the lease. On page 6 of the lease, capital improvements, what this says is they have to make a minimum of at least $10,000 of improvements per year. And if they, come in with a larger project the first year and do $50,000, of course, it would apply to the years that follow that. The lease must spend at least $10 per year. So the attorneys, what they did in this section is they basically cleaned up some of the language to indicate that. And on page 10, we added Connor's name as under the Green Bay Baseball, which is just change there. So that's what we did on page 10. And on page 11, under item number 25, team name. What we did here is we added verbiage saying that the Green Bay Bullfrogs name can be changed with the permission of the Green Bay Park Director, Forestry Director. So they would have to come to us and ask for a name change, and we could award it to this committee. So those are the changes in the lease. Connor, did I miss anything? Was there anything else?
No.
Okay. Connor is here and would like to address the committee if you would wish to open the floor.
Make that motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the floor is now open. Please come forward, state your name and address, and
Thank you,
welcome.
John. Connor Collet, 315 South Third Street, the owner of one of the 3 owners of the Bullfrogs. Thank you, committee, for having us here tonight. I want to thank Donnie and Dan and James Anderson and the city attorney's office for working with us to kind of make these tweaks. We've owned the team now for 2 years. We've been able to increase attendance at the stadium 55% in 2 years last year. But before we took over, the team did not sell out a single game in the season before we took over. This past season, we sold out 17 of our 34 games. So we're really excited about the momentum that we're building here in Green Bay in the way the community has embraced the Bullfrogs. We've invested a little over $100,000 in the facility in our first 2 years. We fell just shy of 50,000 fans that's coming out to the games last year. Team made the playoffs, so we are improving both, at the gate and on the field. And we really are committed to playing a large role in the community. We've done over 300 community appearances in the past year, and every game night, we work with a different nonprofit to raise money for that nonprofit. So thanks again to staff for working with us on this, and we're excited to lock in for a few more years here. I guess I should say that since we took over 2 years ago, we've been open to the idea that we're looking for a long-term facility improvement plan, and this lease kind of reflects giving us some flexibility that in the next 3 years, if we do figure out a longer-term facility solution, we would have the flexibility to pursue that solution.
Okay. Discussion. Any words, questions?
No plans to change the name, is there?
At this time, there's not. That clause has been in the lease since way before we took over, and frankly, 18 teams in the lease, that clause is unique. We were just looking for a little more flexibility. Really what we were looking for is a clearly defined path, because it was very vague. It just said needed approval. Now we have a clearly defined path at some time in the future if we were to look to do that. But
I have
at this
a lot
point,
of worthless Montreal Expo stuff at home. So.
Yeah.
at this point, it's not a discussion. We're not moving to LA either.
Cool. All right. Any further discussion or questions? All right, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
You've done good work out there. It's been a very nice experience at the ballpark, so.
Anybody else want to speak to this item before we close the floor?
Make that motion to return to regular order.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we close the floor. Further discussion by the committee.
I'd move to approve the lease. Are there some conditions?
No,
Okay.
just to move to
Okay.
the lease.
Move to approve the lease as proposed.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. And all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Thank you very much.
We would just like to say that we have a great working relationship with the Bullfrogs. They have done a great job in really building up Joanne's, and they're very nice to work for. They still have to bring their schedule yet. They don't have that completed at this time, schedule of events, but they'll come to a later park committee and present that schedule at that time.
All right,
Thanks, Connor.
very good.
Good luck this season.
Yeah. Report of the purchasing agent, I apologize for not moving you up, but I imagine you're staying around for the next meeting?
No, but this is a short meeting anyway, so
I gave them copies.
they've got
Yeah,
copies of the bid results.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry I got away from you, but,
No, not a problem at all, not a problem. We did a bid, we were buying lumber to build picnic tables. Last time we were here, we brought forward an award for the metal table frames. Now, these plastic recycled boards will make the tabletops and the seats, and the park staff will assemble those. So we are buying 1,600 5-foot by 1 inch by 5.5 inch plastic boards. And we did an RFQ. We received 3 quotes. We're recommending an award to the low bidder, NEW Plastic Corporation, for $15,248.
What is the span that those boards have to stretch?
The tops are 5 boards wide and 5 feet long, and then there are 2 boards on each seat. Does that answer your question?
Well, I'm just wondering, the weight of, there is no such thing as structural composite lumber. There is none. The weight of itself causes it to sag. And that's why I'm just kind of curious about how much distance is in between. For instance, if it was a deck at your house that you're walking on and setting patio furniture on, at 1 1/4 inch, you can't put your joists underneath more than 16 inches apart. So if you don't have support at 16 inches and you're only at 1 inch thick, and you're trying to span, the weight of itself will cause it to sag, and we'll be putting
talking
a lot
about-
more money into these in the future.
Yeah, you're talking about board integrity though, which is different though than board structural integrity.
I believe Dan has some light to share with you on that.
Sure, that'd be great.
If you recall, when we purchased the frames, we purchased specially made frames.
Right.
They weren't their standard frames, so these were beefed up frames that could handle recycled lumber.
Okay, this is what I was looking at.
Yeah, you're talking about the
span in
support
between.
area,
Yeah.
exactly.
So that's what I was curious about, was the distance from here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I was about to say, you're not talking about the integrity of the actual bench, you're talking about the integrity
actual
of the
span,
Yeah, the
the
board
span
itself
that
though,
is-
which is
Sag,
different.
Right.
Alright.
We don't
I'm just seeing a
expect
lot
much
of
sagging.
composite lumber get used for a lot of different uses and find it being replaced within a couple of years, so.
It's a
That's why I
very,
was just curious on that.
very insightful thought about building materials. You should look into a career for that.
I wonder where he got that from.
No, that's good then. This is actually a really good price.
Any further questions for the purchasing agent?
No,
Okay.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Joe. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes. Thank you very much,
Thanks,
sir. Okay, staff, we're down to the director's report.
We are.
Yeah.
Okay, with the snowstorm.
And you got a good half hour, so.
Oh, I know, I was talking half hour.
Can we put this in the bank?
Yeah. With the snowstorm of December 28th, Triangle Ski Area opened
Ah,
on the 29th. We were really, really busy. We had our busiest open weekend ever at Triangle during that time. So we're pretty excited about this. The new tube rope system that we have out there is awesome. We get a lot of compliments of
Yeah.
how
It's
well that
quick.
is working, and,
Mm.
you know, people
very
are
quick.
just a lot happier about the release of the tubes and a lot less falling off and rolling down the hill and those type of things. So it's been a good investment, is what I'm trying to say.
wow.
The weather has put a stop to the installation of our 2 rides at Bay Beach. The contractor still has to install the deck in front of the tugboat, along with the fencing and electrical. So that's on hold. We'll get back to it in the spring right now, but that's where that sits. We began the site inventories and analysis for the playgrounds at Kennedy, Baird, and Atkinson Parks. We'll work with the purchasing department to put out those bids in the early winter here. And due to the warmer weather, yeah, we were unable to flood the ice rinks, but as of Monday of this week, we were out flooding the ice rinks on Monday morning about 5 a.m. So far, going pretty good. You know, in 3 days here, we got the good weather to do it. Might warm up a little bit on the weekend, so it might set us back again, but.
Briefly.
but we're good. So we're out there flooding and trying to get them up as quick as we can. We get a lot of calls saying, where are the ice rinks? And, even before this cold snap here, they're like, water doesn't freeze to 32 degrees?
It's been raining.
We can get water to freeze, we'll flood those ice rinks for you. So, but, it's cool that people are excited and they want to get out there and they want to get on the rink, so that's always a good thing. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
The Red Smith Park basically called, there was an awful lot of excitement there because there were some people that didn't even know they had an ice rink. We must have a lot of people moving in and out of them quite a bit. And next they said, man alive, looks like they're building an ice rink. This is going to be great. I guess they're going. They're ready to go. So that was great.
There was an article in the Press Gazette that had said that we have 26 outdoor rinks, neighborhood rinks. Is that right?
Sheets of ice, basically.
Sheets of
Yeah,
ice.
some may
Sheets
do
of
fun.
ice.
Yeah.
Was this the hockey
Is
rink or
that
was this the ice
On
rink?
our website, I think it
They have a
shows 13 parks that have,
Mhm.
so that would be at two
Right.
sheets.
Like, for instance,
Yeah.
Coburn
Beaver
has a
Dam,
regular
Coburn.
skating rink, and
Yeah.
then they have a hockey rink. Beaver
Okay.
Dam has a skating rink and a hockey rink.
Okay.
Astor just has a skating rink.
Yeah.
So, we get requests all the time from every neighborhood. Everybody wants
Yeah.
an ice rink in their area. And obviously, we're pretty busy with the number of ice rinks that we have to get up and running with the number of staff that we have. So they are being used, and that's a good thing.
Didn't we at one time have both at Red Smith? I thought we had the ice rink
We had an ice
and they
rink.
built a hockey rink instead.
Just hockey, I think.
Pardon me?
I think they may have had
Yeah.
recognized.
For a brief
Yeah.
time, 1 year or
Well,
something.
I think that what they have is what we call an auxiliary rink. We have a little sheet of ice on the edge of it, so
Yeah,
that
yeah.
if we have some little kids that can't be on the hockey
Yeah,
rink, they
okay.
can skate around on the
I
little rink.
guess that's what I'm referring to.
That's where I usually get.
Yeah.
Move to receive, place, and file director's
Hang on a
report.
second,
Oh,
we got a
sorry.
question. Got a question here from our,
Thank you, Sharon. Donnie, I was just wondering on these ice rinks, are they somewhat standard in terms of size, or do they vary depending on the park? I guess I just needed to know that for information. As far
Hockey
as-
rinks are standard size.
They're all standard size.
But yes, the other rinks depend on space and size. Whatever park we're talking about.
Right. Some of the smaller parks, not so
Yeah.
much. Okay. That's it, thank you.
we need a pretty true surface really for the
Yeah.
ice skating rinks. And the hockey rinks are kind of fabricated, so, yeah. Any further discussion? Yeah, is that it, Mark? Mark, do you have any?
That's it, thank you
Okay.
very much.
You're welcome, yes. Any further discussion by the committee?
All right, again, move to receive, place, and file director's report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, can anybody think of what we can do with the next 25 minutes?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
We have a link
Aye.
there.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
You wanna call
Opposed?
Steve?
Myself,
All right, we adjourn, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thanks,
Dan.
everyone.